In this video, we're going to learn about exceptions in Python. There are two main types of errors that you may run into when writing Python code: syntax errors and exceptions. Syntax errors are when you write invalid Python code. For example, if we run this code, we get a syntax error right away because the if statement is missing the colon after it. The error is telling us to take a look at this line so we can fix it. On the other hand, even when we have some code that has perfectly valid syntax, it may still cause errors while the program is running. These are called runtime errors. For example, when a user of our program enters some bad input, that may crash the program because of something unexpected that happened that we didn't anticipate. In Python, errors that happen while the code is running are called exceptions. Exceptions may be caused by anything in the environment where the code executes. Let me show you an example. In this code, we are asking the user of our program to enter a number representing kilometers, and we want to convert that value to miles. If we go ahead and run this, and we enter some unexpected value as the input, the program crashes with this error. So this error is pointing to the line where we convert the input to a float, and the error message we get is this value error, could not convert string to float. In this case, the user of our program entered a value that is not what we expected, and we don't have a good way to control or prevent that. But in order to prevent future crashes like this, we need to handle the exception when it occurs. We can do that using the try and except keywords. Let me show you how. Here's how it works. The code inside the try part is executed or tried first, and if no exception occurs, this except block is completely ignored and won't be executed. But when an exception occurs at any point inside the try part, the rest of the block in the try part is skipped, and the except part will be executed. So if I run this, and I enter a value that is not a number, notice that this time the except block will be executed, and we get this message instead of some really ugly default Python error message screaming at us. The try except statement allows us to handle different types of exceptions. We can specify the type of exception we expect to encounter after the except keyword. For example, by the way, value errors are just one type of exception, but we have many others like type error, name error, key error, etc. It's better to be explicit when dealing with exceptions, and handle each type of exception that may occur by using multiple except statements. For example, sometimes we may want to handle multiple exceptions the same way, so we put them together in the same except statement, like so. As we saw before, the type of error is optional, and you can catch all the exceptions with a simple except statement and just catch everything. The problem with that is that we don't actually know what is going wrong, and if we don't know what's going wrong, we may not be able to handle it correctly. So it's best to specify the kind of exceptions that may occur. Python also has the keyword finally that we use in combination with a try except. Whenever we specify a finally block, this code will always run regardless of whether there is an exception or not. So when the try runs, if there is no exception, then we run the finally block. If there is an exception, the except block runs, and then the finally block is executed. The except part is optional, so if you don't want to deal with the exception, you can also just use a try finally block, which is totally valid as well. This is typically used in cases where you can't handle the error, but you need to clean up resources. For example, when you want to close a file that was opened in the try block,